Why are there so many questions? I never get so many questions. I'm streaming now for 15 minutes already, and we are still getting questions. What is up with this? Chat is never asking so many questions. Hi, I'm from India and I'm 24, done with my master's in information security and planning for a PhD in cybersecurity in the USA. What is your thoughts on a PhD? And please give me your suggestion. PhDs are great. If you like academia, yeah, why not go if you get the opportunity? A PhD is a great degree. With that, this title is worth a lot. And if academia and research is fun to you, yeah, that's a good thing. It's obviously probably hard to get, and I would solely make this decision based on, do you have the opportunity to do that, and is that seems fun to you? Does that motivate you? I mean, you have already a master's. I think you should be able to answer this question yourself, if a PhD is worth it or not. When you have a master's, you should have worked with other PhD students before or talked to them and so forth. So I think you're far enough to basically figure it out yourself. I can't really tell you anything else about that. Could you do a series about heap exploitation like the houses? This is like one of those topics that eventually I could do at some point, but I just I don't know, I never like got the motivation for it, especially because while those heap exploitation techniques and the house techniques are really interesting and fascinating, they get really complex, and they kind of only are applicable to CTF challenges. So and modern exploitation not necessarily requires those kind of things. And yeah, so I'm a bit unsure about that. But I do have a cookbook challenge video write-up. It's super old. It's bad in that sense because it's a very old style of making CTF write-ups, and I'm using their House of Force, if I remember correctly. So, but yeah, so if with that video, I guess you can see, at least one house series. Will you do any hacking 101 video series? I mean, I kind of done that. I mean, my binary exploitation series and a bit of web series. So yeah, and then then I have made some videos about my recommendations for how to get into IT security. So if you look at liveoverflow.com, there's a big button, Start Hacking, and it shares a bit my thoughts because I'm not a huge believer in these linear path and hacking 101. My thesis is that you need to jump, or that I also jumped around between topics a lot, and there's just I visualize it with a web of interconnected topics, and you just jump around. So it's very difficult for me to come up with a linear kind of path. And so I wrote some of my thoughts here and just some recommendations, but they are probably not what you're looking for, because you're looking for some hand holding, and at this moment I can't really offer that for you. Jumping around gives you a better perspective with different topics. Yeah, I fully agree. I think this broad perspective, I don't know how, I don't think I think a broad perspective just makes you better. What's your opinion about BrewCon? Is it a good con? BrewCon is a con I have been once at, and I really liked it. But I was there as a speaker, so my experience was also as a speaker, meaning invited to like dinner and meeting people and stuff. But yeah, I really liked it. The city was very picturesque, looked very pretty. There was beer. I like beer, and people were nice. So it's a small, comfy conference. I enjoyed it. What do you think about GitHub Copilot? Actually, I got invited, and I wanted to make some videos, or at least one video about it. I thought it could be fun to either let it attempt to generate exploits, or let it generate code, and then we hack the code because it has insecurities. Things like that I wanted to do, but I haven't gotten around yet. Too much stuff to do. But in principle, I mean, ignoring all the licensing issues and I don't know, all that kind of stuff, if you ignore that, I think that's I love it, because in code you reproduce the same stuff. We are copy and pasting Stack Overflow anyway, so having that faster, accessible, and smarter, yeah, why not? I haven't tried it yet though. I can't imagine that the workflow is annoying or that it's great. And yeah. What language will you suggest for network hacking? Anything that can interact with sockets is fine. If it can be solved with Python, I would solve it in Python just because I'm used to Python. But Golang is, for example, you can do some crazy quick like proof of concept kind of stuff with Golang. If you want to write yourself a proxy, Golang, few lines of code, super easy. So it depends on what you need to do, and then figure out which tool serves you well. But generally, you can do it with everything that can interact with sockets. But Python, for example, has this Scapy library to craft packets, which is very comfortable. What do you think about only learning bug bounty for a long time without practicing that bug bounty? Well, you can practice with CTF. That's basically how I learned and got into hacking. I didn't know, or bug bounty didn't really exist. So all I did was I learned about a topic and I applied it at CTFs and challenges. And that was fun to me. I just loved solving those puzzles. So I think that is kind of like enough. I'm 5 minutes behind chat. This is why are you asking so many questions? You never ask so many questions. Why do we have 170 viewers? When I advertise, like all the past streams, I would do Instagram story, I would do Twitter fleet, and advertise that I'm streaming now. Sometimes I would even I would advertise it a lot, and then I would not even get 170 viewers. And today everybody's asking questions and it's under 70 viewers. Did I miss something? Ever deal with being burnt out, overwhelmed by new stuff to learn and keep up? If so, how do you deal with it? Well, the past years I have been burnt out and overwhelmed by creating enough YouTube videos and working and doing all that kind of stuff. So I can even not think about learning new stuff and keeping up with things. Luckily, for example, when it comes to web, and web is my profession, I do web security as a profession. I am at a point where I kind of understand everything. There's like nothing really I don't understand. And when there is something new, like the HTTP2 research, I just have to read the blog post really quick and I understand what's going on. There's not really anything new really that I'm not catching up to, because the web is now I caught up basically to the current state of the art, and now once in a while I see new stuff or I get inspired to do things differently. I adjust my methodology and so forth, but technically speaking, there's nothing really new for me in web. I mean, there's always new stuff, but generally speaking, I'm like at a point where it's okay, so I don't have that feeling anymore. So I'm now more occupied with keeping up with YouTube schedule and all that stuff. Where and what did you study? I studied applied computer science in a dual study program, and then I did a master's in regular computer science, but I did focus a bit with my courses on security. If you're curious about my biography, I created last December a hated YouTube series called T-shirt stories. You can find the playlist on my YouTube channel. It's called T-shirt stories, where I show off different T-shirts I collected over the years and basically tell you my life's story. And if you want to hear about me studying and how I got into security, how I got my job, what it was like to give my first talk, what it was like to start liveoverflow and all that stuff, it's basically all in there. Is focusing on reverse engineering and exploit development a good path to go down on in today's time when web apps and apps are strong? It depends. Reverse engineering and exploit development are definitely skills that are needed in several industries. Pay is also really good because you need to have a lot of experience, but it's also difficult to get those jobs. It's probably a lot easier to get into web and app stuff just because it's so much more widespread. So if you love reverse engineering and exploit development, then sure, go for it. But it will also require a lot of experience. It's not a casual thing you can get into. If you are just kind of on the fence and you have fun with everything, why not focus on web development in a professional manner and then do reverse engineering and exploit development on the side as a hobby for fun? Because I also believe being interested in reverse engineering exploit development makes you a better security person in general, And when you have a client that has a web app but is interfacing with some kind of binary stuff, or the client has a iPhone app as well, you can then use reverse engineering to look at hidden API routes and all that stuff. So these skills still come in handy. So they are not entirely useless, but yeah. So that's kind of how I think about that. Thanks for answering my reverse engineering question. Really cleared up a lot of things. I'm already a full stack web developer and web app pen tester. I think it would be a good idea for me to look into reverse engineering stuff on the side. Yeah, I would say at your point in the career, you would really benefit from this stuff, and the learning resources about the basics of reverse engineering and binary exploitation are really, really good nowadays. So you will have a very fast learning curve, I think, to get basics done. And then it's, I think, can be applicable to certain projects you have also at work. Is deep understanding of how an operating system works essential for hacking? Nothing is essential. You can always do something. Everybody without any IT knowledge will be able to find basic IDOR attacks, or indirect object reference, where you guess and change an ID in a URL. So it's not essential for hacking, but I do believe a broad knowledge is very helpful. And if you understand how operating system works, I think you have a much better understanding how programs work and how programs can fail. And also, of course, when you hunt for bugs on kind of the operating system kind of level, regular applications, for example, how they interface with the operating system and files and so forth, and you understand. I don't know, it just makes sense. It always depends on what you want to do. If you want to do something where operating system work is needed, then it's essential. If you do other stuff, it's maybe not essential, but it will always be beneficial. I'm so pissed right now. How can we reach 200 viewers? What is it? Is it the day? It can't be the day, and it can't be the time, because it's roughly the same time and day I'm streaming as well. And I do all this advertisement stuff on social media before all the previous streams. What is up today? Are the others not streaming, or am I usually competing with somebody that I'm not aware of? Hacking history and anthropology is very interesting. Yeah, I wish there was more hacking history. I did the video about the origin of the term script kiddie before, which is one of my my more favorite videos I made, just because I think it's so interesting, unique, and hasn't been like really done before. And it's really kind of fun to look back. People were anonymous at a certain time, and nowadays we know their identity and so forth. So it's really fun. And I wish people would tell more about their stories. I've interacted a few times with old school hackers who were, active like 10 years ago doing black hat kind of stuff, or, just for fun kind of, but they still don't want to tell their stories. I'm still, I'm still hoping for, I don't know, somebody from 1995 telling me about the first time they found above overflow and how they were developing their exploit and stuff. I don't know, that would be so fascinating. What do you think of Brandon Falk's content, and how can beginners make use of it? So the guide to Gamozo's live streams is exactly the same for me as it is for you. You just watch it, and then you feel really, really stupid and dumb. And because you feel so dumb, you get motivated to learn more. That's what it does with me. I watch him and I think, holy shit, I don't understand. And that just makes me motivated. I need to learn more. So he always reminds me I'm not at the top of the game. There's still so much left to learn. So yeah. So I know for other people that's like very demotivating and stuff like this, but I'm feeding on feeling dumb. That's really motivating to me.